Good morning, or whatever time of day it is for you, wherever you are at. I hope that this video is finding you well with a smile on your face and happiness in your heart and in your life today. So I'm super excited to be here with you guys and to do this fork flower project with you. Before we get started, I'm going to run through a list of supplies that you'll need. I also put a picture of the supplies that I have on at the very, very beginning of the video before you see the Boys and Girls Club logo, so that you can have everything gathered. But just in case you don't, I'll show you what you need, and then you can hit pause and run and collect whatever items you think you're going to need to make a masterpiece today. So the first thing that you're going to want to think about for this project is you are going to want to think about how you're going to protect the table that you're working on. I'm using a brown paper bag because I'm using a table that I borrowed from my coworker, and the last thing she said to me when I took it out of her office is, don't get it messy with your craft projects. So I'm trying to be respectful of her table, and so I hope that you will do the same with whatever table you are using. So you can use a brown paper bag, you can use a newspaper, you can use taped together magazines, you can use a plastic tablecloth if your grown-up has one. There's all sorts of things that you can use to protect the tables. The next thing that you're going to need is a piece of paper, and this one is a white blank piece of paper, just computer paper. You can use whatever color you want, but it's going to be easier to see the finished product on the white paper, so that's up to you. You're also going to need some paint. We're going to do 3 flowers together, but if you want to do more than 3, you can get lots more paint, whatever you have at your house. I chose blue and purple and pink today because they are springy colors and they make me happy. You're also going to need some markers, and I chose black, blue because it's kind of the color of clouds, green because it's the color of grass, and yellow because it's the color of sun. Now, keep in mind that just because that's the way these things are doesn't mean that's the color you have to do them. You can do your tree purple if you want and your grass blue. That's up to you. In fact, we read a story about that the other day. If you haven't listened to Mr. Silly yet, you should go listen to that because it's a story exactly about that. Anyway, back to supplies. You also need something to put your paint in. Some people use paper plates, some people use little bowls. I have this paint holder, this palette, that I'm going to use. And just make sure you check with your grown-up before you use anything, and make sure they help you get the supplies together that you're able to use. And then you also need something to make the flowers out of. This project calls specifically for plastic forks. However, if you do not have plastic forks, don't get sad because you could still do this project. You could use a cotton ball, you could use your fingers and just dip the paint and make fingerprint flowers. You could use markers, you could use whatever you have. So those are the supplies that you are going to need. So go ahead and get them gathered. I'm going to get everything ready and then we will get going on this project. All right, we are back and ready to start. I turned the camera a little bit so you guys can see what we're doing on the paper. And again, this is just a suggestion for the activity. If you want to get creative and do whatever this inspires for you, that is absolutely what I hope that you would do. This is definitely not, something that it doesn't have to look exactly like anybody else's. So that's the beautiful thing about art, is that it can look however you want it to look. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my paint poured out and ready. And we just need a little bit of paint because I'm just going to make a few flowers. So I'm not putting too much in. I think you guys can see what I'm doing. Okay, and then, yeah, that's a good pink. All right, first thing I'm going to do after getting the paints ready is I'm going to make my grass. And I'm going to do this with my green marker, and I'm going to try and do it upside down so that you guys can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to go from here, from this, looks like the top piece, bottom piece for you. I don't know, I'm backwards. Anyway, so go ahead and make your grass. My favorite way to make grass is to just do a whole bunch of M's or V's or whatever you want to call them. I'm going to do it all the way across the paper. And I do it lots of times. And then I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go fast, fast, fast. So it looks like my green marker is running out. Let me get a different green. This is good. Different kind of green, so it'll be a little more colorful. So I'm just going to make a whole bunch of grass. Another way you can do it is you can just do like lines, kind of like X's, if you want to make kind of messy grass. This is why we have the protective paper, because I'm already getting it on it. And this is why be careful with what we're using. Make sure it doesn't get all over the tables. Okay, so there's my grass. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make my stems. Now, I'm going to do 3 flowers. Like I said before, you can do however many flowers you want. So I'm going to do 1 there, 1 there. That one's going to be a little taller. And then 1 there. Then I'm actually going to pull my stems down so you can see them in the grass. And then I'm going to wait and I'll do my leaves for the stems later. All right, now comes the fun, maybe messy, maybe crazy part. So you take your fork and you dip the ends of it in the paint. And then you make your flower out of it. So I'm going to start at the end of my stem to make the flower. And I'm just going to push it down. And I'm going to get a little more paint. So I think every time I put the paint down, or put the fork down, I'm gonna put some paint. It looks like it's getting a little bit thick in the middle, so we've got to be very careful when you're done with this to let it dry. And so there's what that pink flower looks like. That's pretty fun. Keep in mind, I've not tried this yet. This is my first time doing it with you guys. So what I'm gonna try and do is scoop up some of that pink paint so it's not so thick. But it'll just take a while to dry, and that's okay. I'm alright with that. So, alright, so I'm going to be done with that one for a minute, and then I'm going to go on to the blue, and this is my favorite color of blue. It's what color used to be on my old phone case, because it's just such a cheerful color. Alright, and let's do a blue flower. Just take it around. You can go around as many times as you want. This is nice and springy, I think. Okay, so there's that flower. Interesting that they're turning out a little bit differently. That's pretty cool. All right, and then I'm going to take my last fork. And I'm going to do 1 more flower on the last one. And like I said, you can go around as many times as you want. Just be super careful that your arm or your sleeve of whatever you're wearing doesn't get in the paint that's already on the page. All right, so there are my 3 flowers. Now, something else you could do is you could take some of one color and maybe like kind of make some fancy edges and mix the colors a little bit. I'm going to try that. We'll see how it looks. It kind of looks like a dandelion. All right, what do you think about that? I think that's kind of fun. I'm going to go ahead and do that with my other colors too. Make it a little more bright. I'm going to do the blue on my purple flower. Oh, that one has a little pink in it too because it was laying on the pink fork. That's okay. I like that. All the colors are good. And just remember, there's no such thing as a perfect art project. It's all about having fun and expressing yourself. And then let's do some pink. Now I'm holding on to my other two forks so that I don't have anywhere to put them. So you might want to make sure you have somewhere to lay them down if you want to use both your hands to do this with your forks. All right, these pinks here. And there we have it, a nice little spring fork flower project. Now, if you're using something else other than a fork, you would just do it the same exact way. You would just dip it in the paint and then make your petals. If you're using your fingerprints, make sure you wash your hands between each one. Unless you want to mix the colors, that might be fun too. All right, so there is that. Now, I did get out these markers because I thought maybe I would have room to draw maybe a sunshine in the corner and some clouds and maybe some birds, but I think I'm not going to do that. I think that I'm happy with the way that it looks right now. So I'm going to move my camera back up and show you the finished product. So I think that's pretty fun. That's something that I think my mom would hang on her fridge. Maybe I'll send it to her. Anyway, so I hope you guys had a good time with that. Make sure you clean up after yourself so you don't leave big messes. And if you do this and your grown-up takes a picture of you, I would love to see it. Have them send it to our Boys and Girls Club page through Facebook Messenger or any way. Or you guys maybe too can bring them back to the club when you come back. So anyway, there is that project. I hope that you had a great time. We miss you all so very much and can't wait to see you again soon. Bye-bye.